Only that's so bitter.
Well, that was great.
I forgot we to do the
Yeah, that's horrible.
I actually don't mind that.
I like that, Kate, you did the but you didn't take a drink, and then you noticed we were taking a drink, and you're like, oh no. So, welcome everyone. It's another episode of OnlyCans, and we are on to the letter C, in which we are doing courting in honor of Valentine's Day. Oh wait, what are you doing on Valentine's Day, guys?
We went on a really cute tour of Cork.
Yeah. So they have like street art, like walking tour up on like yaycork.ie or whatever it is. I should probably say exactly. It's the Ain 2. No, not Ain 2. Ain 2 is the racist, homophobic little bird. Hang on.
We don't want to give them a shout out. Sponsored by Ain 2.
Ardu. It's a street art initiative sponsored by Cork City Council Arts Office and Creative Ireland. So essentially what it was like they had a map, and it's like, here are all the locations of these like murals on the sides of buildings essentially. And when you get to that area in Cork, you tap it on the map and it gives you information about the piece and about the artist who did it. Turns out a lot of the artists are very into stained glass art, because like most of them had like some background in stained glass artistry, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. What about yourself?
I recorded podcasts. This has been my whole day.
Yeah. Also, we are recording this on Valentine's Day. Which is
it won't be out on Valentine's Day, but that's fine. Do we want to jump into the queer agenda?
So I suppose it is courting in the sense of like dating and like getting to know people and that kind of thing, and just to specify. God, okay. I stand. I look forward to being corrected. What's the gay agenda side of things?
Kate, do you want to fire in with the like definition for courting? Just see, did I just like go off the wall altogether?
So, according to Wikipedia, courting is a period of development towards an intimate relationship wherein a couple get to know each other and decide if there will be an engagement followed by marriage. So
okay.
How far off from that definition did you go?
They go straight to it. It's
like, considering the courting that I went with, I don't think it ever gets to the point of marriage, and if it does, like, good for them, but
it's like a notional. He doesn't have to get there, but the idea is like, this is the track we're pretending to go on, kind of a vibe. Doesn't have to go.
Oh no. Okay, I went the sex route.
I also went partially the sex route, but also it's like that ties into to me that means like, you know, the there's like an Instagram meme or Twitter meme now that it's like, because we're in lockdown, I'm on my 14th talking phase with people because no one can meet up, so they're all just texting each other. That's courting, isn't it? Like the texting, getting to know each other, being like, how's it going?
It's a period of development towards an intimate relationship,
which ultimately must lead to marriage.
Yeah. A heterosexual marriage.
Specifically heterosexual marriage.
Of course,
It's the only marriage I believe in. So.
There was also a really nice line in Wikipedia where it was like, it's traditionally the role of the male to kind of like woo the woman, and this is the direct quote is encouraging her to understand him. So like, if she's not into it, she just doesn't understand. She just needs to understand a bit better.
That's very good.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I didn't go that route at all. But I was telling you a little bit about this on Friday, but what I'm going with is the handkerchief code, and I'm taking all my information from our favourite source, Wikipedia.
Nice.
Unreal.
Nice, yeah.
I think Wikipedia is a pretty good source. I know, like, when you're in college and writing papers and stuff, you can't reference Wikipedia, but it's like
You can, you just shouldn't.
You can reference the things that Wikipedia has used to reference. So you can't reference Wikipedia, but you can reference the link within it.
But isn't it like isn't it quite a good like self-governing
democratic.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. But like, I remember I was listening to another podcast, and the guy on the podcast was talking about how fans of the podcast keep making him a Wikipedia page, but what's happening is other people are finding the Wikipedia page saying, nah, this guy's not famous enough to have a Wikipedia page, and deleting it. So they had like a back and forth for like a year or two where people were adding a Wikipedia page for him, and then other people were removing it or editing it to make it less relevant. In terms of, they'd say like internet personality or something like that.
Okay.
Whereas other people were going on and be like, he's just some guy who records stuff in his bedroom or whatever. And that's kind of like, I like that. But it's like, no, this is right. No, this is right.
I think though, like, don't delete the page. Don't be like, oh, you're not famous enough. Delete. just let him have his page. But then again, like, that would mean that we could get a page. So I suppose maybe don't let everyone have a page.
If you want to
make an OnlyCans page.
Yeah. One person I know, like, personally has a Wikipedia page about them. It's like a neighbour's grandson.
Okay.
He's like a famous football player in the UK or something, and he has a Wikipedia page. And I found it one day, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really
Something
fun
sports.
to be like, oh, he grew up in Cork, in whatever with his grandmother, and then he moved over to the UK to live with his mom. It was really sweet. Like reading it, being like, and they have pictures of him, and they have like the history and like his goal. Sorry, when I say his goals, I mean his physical goals in a game of sports rather than his aspirations.
They're in Chinese.
Yeah.
Did you edit it and like add in neighbor to David's grandmother?
No,
just for the sake of it, because it's a fact. It's a fact. They can't get rid of it.
I didn't, and as I'm talking, I actually never looked into how you edit something on Wikipedia or how you set up a Wikipedia. Is it literally anyone can do anything they want, or does it have to get like pre-approval by like either admins or?
No,
I'd say
I tried when I was 15 to set up a page for someone in my class. It was very funny. I think he was going for class president or something, and I was like, this is gonna be gas. I'm gonna set up a Wikipedia page.
Cool.
Nice.
And I was not able to. I think it might be fairly easy if you just like took 20 minutes to work it out, but as a 15-year-old I was like, this is too much work, I can't do it. I think it was something like you needed to edit 3 other pieces, and then those edited pieces needed to be approved. This is something we're going to do like a thing.
Oh yeah, so you have to like become a Wikipedia person to be able to like make your own page.
Oh, I get it.
That's fair.
So
That's
like,
good.
But what does the DC stand for? After Wikipedia.
We should change it.
Wikipedia DC.
Wikipedia approval and change Washington DC to Democratic Congress.
Or add like a line at the bottom is like, and in the famous OnlyCans podcast, they thought it stood for Democratic Congress, and have like a little hyperlink to OnlyCans.
Yeah.
And that's how we become famous.
Oh, that's how we become famous. Do that Wikipedia page.
That would work.
we break the system. Yeah. We can also do it on the Wikipedia page for tennis. Every time they mention a tennis court, we can link them to the Wikipedia page for this episode.
Because we said tennis court. Oh.
Even worse.
Okay, I'm going to swiftly move on because that was something. So the handkerchief code has a number of different names. It's like bandana code, flagging, or like the most commonly known is the Hanky Code. So it's a color-coded system for non-verbal display of one's interest in sexual activities and or fetishes. So there's also a left and right display system. So it's color-coded, and where you place it on your body is going to make a difference. If you have it on your left side, it's like your top, active, giver, dominant. If it's on the right, your bottom, passive, receiver, or submissive. So it kind of depends on like the color coding then as to which word of those applies. So yeah, it was most widely used in the 1970s in the US, Canada, Australia, and Europe. And it was mainly used by gay and bisexual men seeking casual sex or BDSM practitioners. So the original origin is actually with heterosexuals. So bandanas were worn as a practical accessory in the mid and late 19th century in the western US. It was believed that gay men adopted wearing bandanas in San Francisco after the gold rush. In the gold rush, it was like a bunch of people from Eastern America were going to the West to work in these mines and everything. but they were often leaving the women behind and their families behind to go like work and send the money back. So this led to a shortage of women. So men, when they were at their dances, as you do, they were dancing with each other. So they developed a small version of the code, which was the blue hanky and the red hanky. So if you wore the blue hanky, you were going to be doing the male part of the dance. And if you wore the red hanky, you were going to do the female part.
Class.
Oh, cool.
That's really interesting.
Then in the 1970s, the modern code then came into place. And there's 3 theories as to like where it came from. So the first one was a journalist for the paper Village Voice. He joked about using coloured handkerchiefs for particular sexual focus instead of, apparently at the time, they used a set of keys on one side or the other to display whether they were top or bottom. So that was the left or right system still, just with keys. And that was in New York. The other 2 are both in San Francisco. So I'm kind of leaning towards one of them as like the original. But one of them was marketing efforts by a department store called the Trading Post for their erotic merchandise. They were promoting handkerchiefs by printing cards listing the colour meanings. Or there was this guy, Alan Selby. He was the founder of Mr. S. Leather in San Francisco. I'm assuming this is a leather store or a BDSM store. And he claims that he created the first Hanky Code with his business partners at Leather and Things when their bandana suppliers inadvertently doubled their order and the expanded code would help them sell the extra colours. That's my personal favourite. So.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the left or right reminds me of, in Ireland anyway, we have a thing that's like, if you get your ear pierced and you're a boy or you're a man, if it's on the left side, it means you're gay, and if it's on the right side, it means you're straight? Or is it the other way around?
It is the other way around. I conveniently learned after I got my left ear pierced.
Well, legally, that means you're straight.
Yeah.
You have to.
It does.
There's no
I've
way
had to
around
stop
that.
sleeping with men as a consequence. It's been a tough road.
So that's what that reminded me of. It also reminded me of the term hanky-panky.
Oh, yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and does that have
Never
something
thought
to do
of
with it? Yeah, because
hanky-panky,
hanky-panky just
that
like
would make sense.
Isn't hanky-panky just like doing
Sex.
touchy-feely, getting to third base stuff?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Maybe that was
more
something
hand
like-
stuff.
Yeah.
Hand
What's
stuff.
third base?
What?
What's third base?
Oh, it depends.
Yeah.
Anal.
Hang on.
Holding hands.
What was it?
First
Was it?
bases.
Oh yeah.
long
Oh yeah.
hands.
No. It's French feel finger fuck. So it's first base is French kissing, second base is feeling, third base is fingering, and fourth base is fucking, or home run is fucking. I think I don't condone that as a thing.
Yeah.
But I remember
And that
there was a
also only
book-
applies to heterosexual men.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But I remember it came from a book. I'm gonna say it's called Looking for Alaska, where the character
it
in
was.
Alaska was
Way before
describing
that, though.
that. Oh yeah, but that's what I remember it from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The French feel finger fuck, and that like way of saying it.
Yeah.
Was from
Yeah, because we all
Looking for
knew the
Alaska.
bases, but I never knew that they had like a system with 4 Fs on it.
Yeah.
So then I had a little idea of we can play a game. So for guessing the code, so there's the most widely considered authoritative code was from Larry Townsend's The Letterman's Handbook 2, so the 1983 second edition, because the first one didn't have the code. But like there's a bunch of codes now that like literally cover every little tiny
Yeah.
change in something where it's like hand job with your left hand is this color or something like that. But this one's a bit more simple. So if you want to take a guess for the colors, so the first one is black.
Is this a sex act that we're guessing, or an orientation?
Or like a sexual preference
Oh.
or something.
This is an act. It kind of covers 2 of them.
Penetration.
I'm gonna say black is for what's it called? Rim jobs?
Oh no,
Was that
that's
close?
not on here. Oh, that's a good idea. There's probably a color for that, but it's on one of the more expanded tables.
that'd
That's
be
it.
Check out our OnlyCans merchandise page.
So black is for sadism and masochism.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
then there's two different ones for blue. There's dark blue and light blue, and I'll give you a hint. They relate to third and fourth base. This is for gay men, remember, so think
blue.
of the third base equivalent.
Oral, dark blue, penetration.
I think I know it. Is it spitting and swallowing?
Oh, that makes
Oh, no, Kate was on the ball.
sense.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
I preferred yours though. That
Yeah.
made a lot of sense.
Yeah, because it's like light blue if it relates to third base, which would be
Fingering.
fingering.
But the
For
gay
guys, that would
equivalent's
be hand
oral.
jobs or blow jobs or, oral.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, so it's...
It's light blue is for oral sex and dark blue is for anal sex.
And these are just like the ones that you'd wear on like your right hand. And if someone else saw that, they're like, oh, they're up for oral sex tonight or
Yeah,
whatever.
and it like if you have it on your right hand, that means that you are top or receiver, so you're looking to get a blowjob.
That's got some interesting implications for consent, because like if I'm only wearing the oral thing, that's like that's telling you that's as far as I'm up for, basically, unless we say otherwise, kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah. So like this was used in a time when you couldn't like go and meet people. Well, like they could go to like dances and stuff and have their hidden gay spaces, but this is kind of like a way of just keeping things straightforward. This is like to lead into David's one. This is apps before there was apps, and like you had all these definitions of like what you're into, and like with all like gay dating apps, they have all of these things now where you can kind of say your preferences in terms of like top, bottom, verse, and all of those. So like we still have a system, just now it's all online.
What's kind of interesting about this is that it's because when it's a men and men thing, men are able to say like, oh, hey, this is what I like and I know what I like. Whereas there is no equivalent of that for heterosexual relationships.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it's like women are like, put up with whatever you get.
Yeah, there's no... I can't imagine that there'd be like similar to like, here's what I want to do as like a built-in feature to any... Now, again, open to being corrected with this, but like in terms of dating apps, can't imagine, other than like what you write yourself in your bio, if you were like, I'm up for sex tonight or whatever, I can't imagine.
Yeah, but you never say like, oh, I'm up for oral, I don't give blowjobs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, actually, that's true. But that'd be because... Oh, I have to be careful here. Actually, no, I'm going off what Luke said, so that's fine. Yeah. He's a representative of the
They can't be homophobic.
Of the entire queer community.
Of the entire queer community. But isn't it like that Grindr is much more, you download it for sex rather than Tinder where you download it for like dating and stuff, or like Tinder is like bit of dating, maybe you're doing it just for a hookup, whereas in Grindr very much leaning more towards the hookup side. So maybe that's why that's important. Like at a glance, you can tell that like, oh, this person wants a blowjob, I'll like him. This person doesn't want a blowjob, I won't like him. Thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, Luke.
Yeah, like in terms of Tinder, since it's like a swiping system, you do kind of have to have a picture up and everything like that. Whereas Grindr, because it's like that table format that you can scroll through, you don't, like you can stay anonymous more. Not so much that like they advertise themselves as more of a hookup app, but it's just like that the design and everything of it and the culture that is on it has kind of gone that way where that's what it's mostly used for. It's like there is still dating on it, like that's what I try to use it for, but I'm single on Valentine's Day, so that says a lot. I suppose there's differences when it comes to heterosexual couples. It's kind of assumed as to who is going to be penetrating who. So there's kind of less of a need to have these definitions. And then like when you go into Scruff, which is another gay dating app, there you can go into like way further detail of like oral only or anal and then like the positions that you're kind of into. So yeah, like we do have a lot more of that. And I suppose in a way it's great because it's like sex positive, but then it's not great because it is kind of leading to a solely hookup culture and kind of dating is getting kind of set to the side a little bit. But that's fine. Okay, so the next color is brown. Should be able to guess this one.
I'm gonna go back to either rim jobs or anal is my guess.
It's gonna go.
We have anal already, so.
Oh.
I'm gonna say rim job then.
But I thought that wasn't
Is that
there.
your final answer?
Oh yeah, fuck, that isn't there. Brown.
I told him that.
Oh, is it like...
Can you think of the right word for it?
Stuff. Is it I'm into mixed race stuff? Well, I suppose if you actually
no.
into dark people or dark skin tones. No?
No. This was the 1970s. Okay, it's scat, which, do you know what that is?
No, I don't know what that is.
Is that
You don't know what scat
Two
is?
Girls, One Cup?
No.
Like, yes, kind of, without the vomiting. And maybe without the cup, it depends.
Oh, okay. Is that what scat? I thought scat was a type of music.
Ska. Defecating on a person.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no, like, creativity to it. Like...
You can do it, I don't know, hang upside down and do it, or... I don't know how they go about it.
Massage involved? Is it like a post-cum thing?
I suppose it's like whatever you're into, really. Like, I suppose there's all different kind of ways about it. It could be even just that you like doing anal sex when they haven't douched or something like that, or whatever. Not that you have to douche, you can still kind of just, have your fiver and you're kind of good to go.
And douching is... Douching is cleaning out your ass before anal sex. Yeah?
It doesn't have to be your ass. Like, you can get female douches as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like there's different versions of it. Like, the most common one is like the enema bulb, which is just a little plastic bulb with a hose at the end of it. You shove that up your ass, you squeeze some water into your anal cavity, and then you just let it squirt out and take anything in there with it.
They're not recommended for female use. Like, you shouldn't
No,
be
they're
using
not.
a douche.
Well, it's kind of the same with anal. They're not recommended to overuse. Like, a lot of people, what like the current standard is that you use it until the water runs clear, which you're not meant to do because that takes the mucus away from the lining as well, which is so it can be bad for your body. So you're just meant to do like one small squirt, and like that'll usually be good enough to like get rid of any kind of obvious stuff. So I suppose on the same line as that one, what about yellow?
I don't know the word for it, but...
Is it golden shower?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what yellow is? Or is that
Yeah.
the word for it? Yeah.
It's called water sports, which can be very
sports.
confusing.
Oh, God. Imagine
if someone
not
asks you if you're into water sports, just be careful.
Yeah, I was going to say, imagine not being versed in these topics and you just really want to go bodyboarding.
You're trying to say that you love water sports and ska music, but you're not versed in it.
So what about grey?
Older people.
That would have been a smart one. No.
Is it ambiguous people? So not quite gay and not quite straight presenting. It's like, a bit of middle
Non-binary
ground.
people?
Yeah.
Ambiguous, did you mean androgynous?
No, I meant ambiguous, so you're not sure if they're gay or straight.
Oh,
It's
right,
like,
okay.
Like as in like without being how do I explain this well now? Without being like stereotypical or anything like that.
But
At
why?
a glance or when talking to them, you wouldn't know from some mannerisms that they would be gay.
Like,
Is what
I get
meant
that,
in
but
terms
why
like
would
the grey area?
Yeah. Why would they wear the grey one? Because that person probably knows themselves as to whether or not they're gay or straight or bi or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Or
I get it
maybe
from
the
like the other
person
person's point of
looking-
view.
Yeah, maybe the person looking wears it, being like, I'm into someone that presents.
You want to be guessing.
Yeah, like.
Oh, okay.
Will they? Won't they?
I want to be
guy
kept
gay?
guessing.
Yeah.
I want you to be blowing me and just not be sure if you're. What about red?
Well, what does grey actually mean?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't tell you. Bondage.
Oh.
Yeah. Disappointing.
Oh, like I suppose like silvery grey handcuffs.
Oh,
That's
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more like black was S&M, so then grey is the B. I'm not sure what.
Cool.
I suppose the left and right part of it kind of covers the dom sub side of it.
Yeah.
So red. Any thoughts on that one?
Is there going to be blood involved?
There could be, but you hope there isn't.
Okay.
Done right, it shouldn't be. So like anyone who's doing this properly, it shouldn't be.
Anyone who's doing this properly, there shouldn't be. So when you said, I was thinking lipstick.
Oh.
So I was thinking like along the lines of they would wear makeup or wear lipstick or something. I don't know. So it's not drag queen, but people that like
it's a good guess.
yeah.
Like it has nothing to do with what it actually is, but that's a good connection. Like the color red really has nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay.
To toys or
Nope, actually there's none for toys. Well, I suppose one of them kind of covers that.
So the fact that you said like it can involve blood, but not if you're doing it right, that made me think double penetration or something like that.
You're getting onto the more correct stream, but not double penetration.
Yeah.
threesome?
No. It was fisting.
Oh.
Oh, I see how.
Yeah.
I see how that could potentially involve
Done
blood.
incorrectly may cause blood. So there's 2 left. So green.
Eco-friendly.
No, but do think of the color because it kind of relates to it.
Is it nudism or exhibitionists? Because they go out in nature naked.
It's got a connection.
That's my
Okay.
connection.
Like, go with green. Don't go the eco route. Think of something else that relates to green.
Punk?
Punk? Is punk green? I would have said like purple and black for that.
I was thinking like that mohawk, bright green.
Like dyed hair.
Rich people. You're into rich people.
No, but you have the money part, right?
Prostitution.
Prostitution or
are you
hustlers?
like a sugar.
Okay. Or what?
Hustlers.
Hustlers.
It's a hustler.
Is Hustlers
Have you not
like
seen
a
the
sugar
movie?
daddy, sugar baby?
No, so hustler is it legal? Yeah, it is legal. Don't want to offend anyone, but yeah, like you basing off the movie Hustlers, it's kind of like scam artists, but like they take you out for a night, they will get you drunk, then like you'll be partying with them, so you're having a great night. It's just that they're putting everything onto your card to pay for it, and like the club will take like extra charges so that they can pay you then as well out of this person's. So like they're being hustled, but I think it's like prostitution, but like a completely illegal route of like.
And
you are
not consensual either. Like you don't know you're being hustled and it's part of a game kind of thing.
Yeah, so like maybe you do, and maybe that's kind of like what you're into. Based on the movie, like no, it was like it was during the recession and stuff like that. That they had to like find new means to make money, and they just had to make do with stealing some money from some rich folk. And then orange. This is a very tough one to guess, and I still don't really know why orange matches this one, but it's interesting.
Okay.
Would it be? I'm trying to think of what haven't we covered. Would it be like I'm saying this purely because we haven't covered it yet.
Okay.
Watching people have sex, like you're
It's
not involved
but that's
at all.
an interesting one.
You're not involved. You're just watching 2 people have sex. So like I don't know what that's
Voyeurism,
called.
yeah.
Voyeurism, yeah, that's it. So it's not that.
It's not that, but you're not going to guess it, so there's no kind of point. But it's anything goes.
Oh.
Which why orange?
I think that would be
Yeah.
problematic in terms of like anything goes. We're like, oh, I'm really easygoing or whatever. But surely someone could take that up as a what do you mean you don't like this? I thought anything goes. That could lead to some problematic
Consent issues.
consent issues. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't imagine that orange is used very often, and if it was probably kind of more like, oh, anything goes. In which case, just like ask me, and I'll tell you where the limits are.
Yeah, like potentially anything goes, but like we'll talk about it. We'll like because like
Yeah.
if you say you're into men, it's not that you're into every single man.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's also like anything goes. It's very much like to me, if someone was like, yeah, anything goes, that means it's like they're up for stuff. Let's have a
Yeah.
conversation about what they're actually up for. Yeah.
Like I'd say it was used just like instead of saying like dark blue, oh, I'm only looking for anal sex. It's just kind of like, oh, like I'm
like-
looking for something
like
tonight.
down for whatever.
Yeah. So that is my segment, and that is my queer agenda on courting. As I said, we're going to relate this into David's topic, in that we have now replaced this with apps. So if David wants to talk about that or any of that stuff.
Yeah, so I suppose my kind of research, originally I was going to look up the history of online dating and dating apps and stuff like that. But to be honest, it's kind of boring, and I couldn't go into too much more other than the first dating website was whatever back in 1996 or something like that, and that's what I was going to. That's how I was going to delve deeper into it. I think it's an interesting conversation topic, and I do have a mini game as well. It's not as in depth as because I'm gonna have to tell you a lot of them.
Okay.
As in depth as Luke one, but my whole thing was it's interesting in terms of courting and in terms of how online dating used to go and how it goes now. So we'll say back in the early days of the internet, online dating would be you would fill out a questionnaire and then you would be automatically matched with someone else who filled out the questionnaire in a similar way, or if you both said you like the colour blue, or you both said you like beaches, and you both said you like Chinese food or whatever it is, they'd match you that way. And that was a lot more based off of your own opinion, your kind of internally, your likes and your dislikes and things like that.
It was like a personality test.
Yeah, exactly. It's based more off personality rather than what it has kind of tended to go towards nowadays, which is based off of looks, and I suppose in the case of things like Grindr and stuff, kind of what you're into or what you're up for doing. And I'm sure that I've actually found there are straight apps like that as well. That's is I'm here for this, and this is what I'm into, kind of a way. It's less categorical than Grindr and stuff. And I just
secret arrangements.
Yeah, that is not one that I. That's not
one that I found. If you're looking for a sugar daddy.
Oh, cool.
For any ladies out there, that's where you go.
Yeah, and so essentially, what came to mind was OkCupid, because that's the one that and Match.com. Those two came to mind because they've been around for fucking ages. And back when they started, they were very much it matches you automatically, or it's you have a 50% match with this person or whatever, and then you'd be prompted to exchange emails or whatever it was, or faxes or whatever it was back in the 90s. Both of those now definitely OkCupid, I couldn't find much on Match.com, has shifted to a similar thing of you like or you dislike a profile photo that comes up. With OkCupid, it seems to be that there's more effort put into the profile than there would be on the standard Tinder bio thing. It's what you like, whatever, but it's still, as a glance, it's photo pops up with name and age, and you say yes or no.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting how it's Tinder kind of, I don't want to use the term pioneered, but I don't know how else to say that way of thinking when it comes to online dating, where it went from we're going to match you with someone, we're going to hit you with someone that'll be perfect for you. It's more I'm looking for as much choice as possible, essentially. Is how they went. And I looked up a lot of dating apps and dating websites, and I was just going to go into the whole, they all kind of do these similar things, and most of them do. And then I found some really, really interesting ones. So, Ashley Madison. Have you heard of Ashley Madison?
I've heard of the scandal.
Yeah, you've heard of the scandal.
Oh?
So, Ashley Madison is is a courting, dating app, website style thing that I think is actually just a website, it's not necessarily an app, that is specifically for people who are married or in relationships looking for other people who are married or in relationships to cheat on their spouse with, or to cheat on their partner with.
Oh, okay.
And that's the thing. And the scandal that Kate was talking about was maybe like 5 years ago or something. Hackers anyway got it and leaked
this does sound familiar.
profile information of everyone on it, to the point where you could Google a name, Ashley Madison leak, and everything would come up, and like their conversation histories with people and stuff like that would come up. And now obviously I'm not for the invasion of privacy that is, but that's a lot of people, when they think Ashley Madison, that comes up as like oh fuck, this happened. And now even when I was Googling it earlier, it was like Ashley Madison, and then like the autocorrect is like, is Ashley Madison safe to use? Because I think that lost a lot of, I can't remember the exact amount, but there's like a couple of 100,000 profiles on it got leaked, and all the information and stuff, which is shit.
How do we feel about that?
Like, my initial feeling is like, oh, a bit of schadenfreude, like, oh, so sorry for you. But actually, no, like, there can be shit situations. Well, I don't know, like, is it specifically like, I'm in a relationship and I want to cheat on my husband, wife,
this
whatever.
kind of plays into the mini game that I wanted to play.
Okay.
Which is all of these, well, some of them you had to look a bit harder, but all of these apps and websites have slogans or taglines. What do you think Ashley Madison's one is? And I think the answer to this will answer your question of like, is it specifically for this?
Oh no.
You can do better.
Along those lines, Kate, do you want to have a guess?
Cheaper than a relationship counselor. Or cheaper than divorce.
The tagline for Ashley Madison is, life is short, have an affair.
Oh, I'd actually heard that. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. Great job.
Which is very... so I suppose to answer your question, I think it is... I don't know if you can sign on to it if you're single. I assume you can. Maybe if you're single looking for someone that's in a relationship, if that's what you're into or whatever. But that's very much... That's the that's what's driving
it's
people
not like
in.
Maybe it's an affair thing. It's like very literally.
Yeah, this is literally what I think.
So of course, like, the stance on it is that it is a leak of personal information for people. Because it probably wasn't just their names. If it was their profile information, like, that could be email addresses and like whatever else as well. In terms of like outing cheaters as cheaters, sure. And then, like, there was probably people on it as well who, in their relationship, were consenting about this, where they were allowed to sleep outside of it, but maybe weren't public about that information, and then they're getting leaked out as well to like their families and friends.
I didn't think of about that part. Yeah, if it's like, you know, if that's what your relationship is, you know, swing or whatever it is, and you like doing that, you might want your grandmother.
Music,
you might want your grandmother to know about that.
Your boss.
Or your boss,
So it's one of those things like, I'm assuming, considering the site, it was probably the vast majority were people who were cheating, but is it worth ruining innocent lives as well at the same time? And like, there's other ways to go about that.
I think the stance should be, you shouldn't leak personal information from people on the internet, and that should also extend to things that you might disagree with.
So, like, as a more personal example, if you knew your friend was cheating on their wife, would you leak that information?
That's different.
I wouldn't leak the information because you know the person personally, and you might know
the person personally. You might know the wife personally. That could be a person that you care about, and you're doing it for their benefit. Whereas if you're doing it with people that you don't know, then that's just an attack on a concept rather than people. But you're hurting people who maybe don't deserve it, for those like examples that we gave.
I think if you know the person, it's with the goal to help someone. If you don't know the person, it's just with the goal of hurting them. If that makes sense. Although you could also spin it, I'm sure the people who did leak the information and hack it could have spun it that like they were trying to help everyone that was being cheated on. But it's
or they saw the people who were in the open relationships as like unfortunate casualties in something where they were trying to help all of the spouses.
It's like it's the cost of war kind of a thing.
I think like they shouldn't have attacked the members. They should have just like tried to take down the company in some other way. So I think it's just whoever came up with that. What's the name of it again?
Ashley Madison.
And is that a person as well, or?
It's just the Ashley Madison Agency or whatever. But the big thing about this is if you set up an account on Ashley Madison, so this is just coming up now, live, breaking news. if you set up an account on Ashley Madison and you wanted to delete your account, you can delete the account apparently, but all of your personal data would just stay on their servers unless you paid them $19.
Oh my
and
God.
then they delete the data for you.
I hate these people.
Yeah.
This is just awful.
But when the leak happened and when the people hacked in, that the leak included all of the customers who had previously paid $19 to have their information deleted.
They didn't
So
delete
apparently,
So they weren't.
Apparently, the release of the data included data from customers who had previously paid $19 fee to Ashley Madison to supposedly have their data deleted.
So maybe the hackers weren't actually trying to go after the cheaters. They were trying to go after the website
Ashley Madison
itself.
specifically, because that's fucking shady.
Yeah.
To me, that's more like they want that information to potentially blackmail people in the future.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Yeah.
Very
That's
dark.
really dark. Jesus.
Ooh.
Be
Are they
warned.
gone now?
So that was the first thing that comes up. The second thing is ashleymadison.com, and I can go on to it. It literally says, "Life is short, have an affair, as seen on the BBC." The Sun.
They're owning it. Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's free for women.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
well, that's very forward of them.
Yeah. Okay, so I suppose the next kind of part of mine, we kind of went off on a tangent there with Ashley Madison, but the whole thing was, that was a really funny slogan, the life is short, have an affair. So I looked up the slogans for all these other websites and dating apps. So let's play a little bit of a mini guessing game. What do you think Tinder's slogan is?
It's got to be something to do with fire or something like that.
Find your match.
I do think it has match in it. I feel like... No, I don't know it, but...
It doesn't.
Oh.
Doesn't? Oh.
It's like, it's one of those things where it's less a play on words and more a pretty good slogan.
For play on words.
We only like plays on words,
Tinder actually didn't have one, and they only did this big marketing campaign to be like, this is now the slogan for Tinder. I like it. It's single is a terrible thing to waste. So to me, that's like you're single, get out there, meet people, don't waste it, is how I interpreted it.
I'm not mad about that. Like, you can be single and it's not a wasted life to not be dating anyone.
So in the article where they were talking about that slogan specifically and why they did the big push or whatever was to celebrate being single. Like, you're single, don't waste being single, go out and have fun kind of a thing. It was like a pro-single, you don't need to be in a relationship kind of vibe is what I was getting from
it's not saying like you need to get into a relationship. It's saying like just get out there and meet people and just have a laugh, which I'm okay
to me
with
that
that.
implies, if you're not getting out there and having a laugh, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, for anyone who can't get a date, being told, you're wasting. Nah.
It is problematic in that sense. I can see what they were trying to go for, and they were definitely trying to be positive. They just probably didn't think it through that much, and also they didn't do a fire pun. So
there was
fuck
spark.
them.
There's flame. Like, there's so many great fire dating puns you could have gone with.
Do either of you know what Tinder used to be called?
Is it similar to Tinder, or
Yeah, it's actually another word for Tinder.
a faggot of wood?
I was like, I can't say it.
Yeah, for those of you listening, I can see Kate like holding the F, but not willing to go further. Just
originally it was called Matchbox.
I do think I think I heard that before.
Okay.
Yeah, and,
That makes sense. I like the match pun. That's very fun.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I thought that was really interesting. Grindr has an official slogan. It's actually a good one.
Does it?
Yeah, it's actually a good one.
Okay.
Do you want to guess? It's
Is
not
it a play on grinding?
No, but it's like
I thought it was going to be like grind up on us.
From how you described the app to me, it makes sense. If that makes sense, like that, it's to do with how the app works is tied into the slogan of it.
Okay, so it's not a matching thing. It's that you can see everyone and you'd have to chat to them.
Did you say it was in a table?
So it's like it goes in whoever's closest to you in terms of
Location.
the radius they are away from you in like a
Cool.
circle. No, I have no idea.
0 feet away.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Did you know that there's a straight grinder? Sorry, a grinder, like another app by the company that makes grinder for straight people.
Forced. Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah. It's called Blender.
Oh. What are they blending?
I suppose male and female. Whereas Grindr, I've asked you this before, is Grindr just for men? Or are there lesbians on it as well? Or other LGBTQ plus people?
There's trans women on it. Oh, trans men as well.
Yeah, so Grindr, having the 0 feet away. Straight Grindr is called Blender. I thought that was really interesting. Didn't know that existed. I wonder if it works the same way Grindr does in terms of like it's just whoever's closest to you. I'd imagine so.
Yeah.
If it's like by the same company, whatever.
Probably, yeah.
Then there's an Irish and UK website called Fab Swingers.
Cool.
And it's a dating app or website specifically for swingers and being like, hey,
so
I want to...
they can Lindy hop together.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
So that they're into like the sex act of swinging or everything that comes along with that.
I wonder if anyone has ever signed up not knowing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's an easy mistake to make.
And the tagline for that is for swingers, by swingers, for free.
Like, see, that doesn't clarify anything. That
For swingers, by swingers,
for free. Like,
I really hope they spelt by B-I. That would be fun for me.
They might have, but when I wrote it down, it was B-Y.
Fair.
So, just to include it here, Her is a dating app specifically for lesbian
and
bi women and trans, I'm assuming. It's for
depending on their sexuality.
It's specifically for meeting women who want to meet other women.
Yeah, so like people who identify as women to meet other people who identify or express as women.
Perfect. Yeah.
Or feminine. Yeah.
Her, the tagline for it is "Find your person."
Yeah.
That's cute.
I like that. Yeah.
I like that.
And it's
one.
not gendered, so great. Good job.
Yeah. 100%. Great. Another thing that was interesting, just to add on here, on the website for Her, everywhere that they had the word woman, they spelled it with the X.
Cool.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which I thought was great. That's a nice way of putting it. Kind of going into the inclusivity of it and everything like that, and that's kind of you know, from the get-go it seems to be like that. I suppose for me to finish up, the only other two dating apps, well, not the only other two, but the only other two that I looked in terms of slogans was Bumble and Hinge. Bumble's slogan was "Make the first move," and Hinge's was "The relationship app." And I think Hinge's one does tie it into the whole courting and the definition of courting that Kate brought up, where it's like you're meant to talk with people and stuff with the goal of this being the end goal, marriage and kids and whatever. And all those ads for Hinge is like, this is the app that's designed to be deleted, whereas Tinder being like, oh, be single, it's fine, and you know, life is short, just have an affair. Hinge seems to be the one that's very much like, this is the end goal. We want you to download this app and find someone, and then, you know, and that seems to be one of the only ones that explicitly say it. I suppose Her does to an extent, to find your person. But Hinge
like, find your person,
specifying
it could be your friends, or you could be or anything.
Yeah, exactly. But Hinge specifying relationship, I thought was interesting.
I've never been a fan of Hinge, really. Even like, even just using it, like their whole advertising and everything, it's always like, I do kind of like that tagline of like, oh, this is the app that's designed to be deleted, but I always feel like it's also coming up on all these meme pages and paying for sponsorship on those, and I'm like, anything that like advertises on meme pages just seems cheap to me. And I don't know why.
Even from just seeing YouTube ads and stuff of it being the app that's made to be deleted, like I thought that was the slogan for it.
Which it should be. That's better.
It wasn't. Yeah.
It's very limited on how many people you can match in a day, unless you're like paying for a subscription. So like they're very heavily pushing to get you into the subscription service more so than other apps.
They should take a leaf out of Ashley Madison's book. Just make it free, but if you want to delete the stuff, then you have to pay.
Yeah.
Or cover up everything, then you have to pay.
That's really interesting. That's like literally creating an algorithm for which if you have more money, you get better dating choices, or at least more dating choices.
Yeah. Sure, like all of them do that. Tinder, Grindr, and all of them have paid subscription services that, like, there are benefits to it. Grindr, it doesn't benefit that much, to be honest. So
What's
that
the
one's
Grindr
okay.
one?
It's
What
just
do you
you can
get
see
for
more
paying for Grindr?
profiles, you can talk to people in other countries, and stuff like that. So, like, there's benefits, like if you were going traveling, you can message people in other countries. You can see who viewed your profile but didn't, like, message you and stuff. Like, you can see enough profiles. You can, like, I can see to about 6 or 7 kilometers away from my house of all the people that are nearby. There's no limit to messages or how many people you can chat to. So, like,
So it's very much
I think
like
it's
you
fine.
pay for the extras rather than the product.
yeah.
That thing about Hinge,
Oh, yeah.
though, I never thought about it before, how like how monogamy focused all of those things are, whereas actually courting can be an enjoyable thing in and of itself, where there isn't this and I want to marry someone goal
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, it's like the Tinder tagline of being it's almost Tinder's tagline implies that they want people to stay single.
Yeah.
which
Kate
you
doesn't like that
disagree
tagline.
I don't like
but-
I don't like the you're wasting your life if you're not dating someone thing.
I get that, but I 100% that's not what they meant. They were definitely trying to, like, celebrate being single, and it's cool to be single and just, like,
I feel
have
like
fun, chat to people.
a number of people got paid a lot of money to come up with a slogan and they didn't think of that, so I feel like I have a right to criticise it.
Fair enough. That's fair.
Or they didn't anticipate the potential criticism or the potential way of
How they
interpreting it.
framed like life and
Yeah.
enjoyability and wastefulness. So nah. And especially given the amount of fire puns that they missed out on.
Yeah, that's true. That annoys me too.
I wanted to just circle back on something that was mentioned earlier around how dating apps have made us more visual focused. I think you kind of brought it in at
Yeah.
the start, and I wanted to kind of gauge your opinion on that.
Gauge my opinion on how we're more focused on looks now than were before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose we kind of discussed this in beauty on the whole terms of, like, body image is so much worse now, where there's this idea of what you have to fit and what you have to look like, and it's such a simple game of, like, if we're thinking of Tinder, if you don't have that body, you don't have, like, perfect hair and everything like that, it's just a swipe and they're just going to swipe left on you unless you have the look and you have the visual appeal, and, like, before they even give a chance to what your personality might be.
Yeah, I think dating apps have tended to focus more on quantity over quality, potentially. So they don't necessarily care about if your personality is a match with this person or whatever. I think they seem to care that, like, there has been this many matches and it just goes by, like, you know, it's like they want you to get as many choices or as many options as possible put in front of you as you're swiping, like as many of them as possible. Look how many people you can meet, and look how many people are out there looking for someone to meet as well, and look, you could be matching with any of these people. Whereas before it seemed to be more, we'll find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, or we'll find the right person, we'll find your person, kind of a thing. And I think it is the easy way or the efficient way to do that is the looks thing. And it's like normal advertising. They'll advertising to people for, like, products and stuff is very much whatever catches your eye. And if it catches your eye, you'll spend more time on buying Coca-Cola or something like that, or you'll remember an ad, or you'll spend more time talking about the product. And it's where dating apps, if things catch your eye, or if there's loads of, like, you're spoiled for choice on Tinder or whatever, there's so many people, I feel like it tends to, the only way to do that is the visual hook you that way, for the quantity that they want.
On Tinder at the moment, like, obviously for gay people on Tinder there's less of us, so, like, I've burned through everyone in Cork. Well,
was a
Cork
good
City,
fire plan.
Ballincollig and Orban's area. Yeah. I've covered like I'd say 30-kilometer radius, because that's normally what I set it to on Tinder. But it started doing this new thing now where it's like, oh, to make sure that you still have people to swipe on, we've upped your distance. And I'm like, oh, that's like odd, because like people 40, 50 kilometers away, I don't really want to talk to at the moment because there's no chance of it. But yeah, David's right in the sense of like, they're being like, oh, he's not getting new people to see, so we're going to up his distance so he can see more people, and that'll keep him happy.
Yeah, and
like,
that'll
keep
keep
them
him
open,
logged
yeah.
on. So I actually are there ads on Tinder? Not actually sure how that works.
Sometimes, yeah, I think they come up now as like as a profile, and you just swipe it away.
Yeah.
What happens if you like them?
It
So
just
take
opens up like the Google Play.
Oh, okay. It
Yeah,
opens
'cause that
up the
happens a lot.
website. I thought it could be like,
Yeah.
it like the app
You
tries
chat to the app.
Yeah, it tries to talk to you as like a bot. It's like, hey, thanks for swiping. Have you tried?
I think that'd be a
new
great
chicken
idea.
McNuggets?
It's really clever.
That would work because people would like start posting up the things that the bot has said to them, and
Yeah,
they've
what
said
they
back.
do is they'd
Great
say
advertising.
horrific things to the bot, and the bot would reply
Yeah.
with, "That sounds great. Let's split some chicken nuggets." And then that would, yeah.
There actually was an ad campaign like that for was it domestic abuse? It was on Tinder back in 2015 or so, and it came up as a profile. So it was a girl's profile. She just looked like normal girl profile, and then you'd like swipe through her pictures, and it would just be her like covered in more and more bruises through each picture, and the thing was like, oh, like be aware, be safe, report, blah 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 blah.
Oh,
It was
Oh.
really clever.
that's a really
Yeah.
good way of
That was
That's-
a while ago as well.
advertising, yeah.
really powerful way of it. Yeah, that's cool.
And I definitely get the point about the quantity, and the app's motivations are to keep you on as long as possible so they can make as much revenue as possible, blah blah blah. But I'm like, oh, structural things have a big effect on like individual ability to make choices and stuff. But what I don't buy is the idea that dating apps have made us more visual choosers. Because I feel like if you're in a bar or any other like previous dating kind of environment, it was always a visual experience. It like there was always, you made this choice based on your visual preferences. And I feel like when you're on a dating app, you as an individual can make the choice to be like, well, I now have higher standards or something like that, right? And you don't have to. You can be like, oh, this
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a chat with them anyway, see what they're like.
I think to me it was kind of like, it wasn't so much oh my god, the visual preference side of it. I think it's more, it like dating apps kind of existed as an alternative to the visual preference thing of the pubs, because you choose the people on the visual preference, whereas at the start dating apps came about as like it's not a visual thing, it's like these people personality wise match with you, and how it's lost sight of that and gone right back to the visual preference thing.
And it is a bit of like, you are right that it's a visual game in person as well, but there's the aspect of like someone comes up to talk to you, I suppose you can just turn around and walk away, but the apps are different in that you never have to have any interaction with someone if you don't want to. So it's a lot easier, and in terms of being choosy on looks, that comes into it too, where you can, maybe it's the same standards that you have when you're out in person, but when you're out in person, personality can kind of win you over when you're talking to them, but you're not giving those people a chance now at the moment.
Yeah, and that's my point, is that like you get to gatekeep who comes over to you. So it means like there are good
Yeah.
things in that if someone creepy's coming over to you, you can go, oh, I'm just not going to reply. That's the end of that.
Yep.
And if it's a thing of like, oh, you're not giving other people a chance and their personality might win you over, you have the choice to just swipe right on people and just
Yep.
see what it's like. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's fair to blame dating apps for how visual we have decided to be, because you can just keep swiping right on people, seeing what the conversation is like, and going from there.
Yeah. I think what it is like in conjunction with what we are seeing on social media in terms of looks and the idea of beauty, but what is beauty? Like all of that, I think it's like the two of them working together is kind of where the issue comes from.
Yeah.
It's not that like dating apps in particular are the root cause, but they are an additional development on what is already happening in the world due to social media and such.
Yeah, I think like the photo editing kind of stuff and the constant showing of your best side, that definitely
Yeah.
has an effect. Whereas the dating one, that's a really easy solve. So I don't really understand why people are so annoyed about it.
Again, I don't think it's blaming Tinder for, or blaming the visual dating apps for our thought, our obsession with the visual side of dating.
Yeah.
I think it's more, as I said a moment ago, it started off to be an alternative to that, and now it's gone right back to it, and that's not the frustrating thing, but that's the thing that I find funny.
Yeah,
they started being so different from the visual side of dating.
I think there's loads of problems with the we're going to personality match you, because what they were actually doing was matching you based on like your religion, your class, how many children you wanted, and they're really arbitrary things, and then it comes down to a website deciding what they think a good match makes, and that doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Yeah, so I do think they moved on kind of from that, and it went to like personality tests, and they kind of put you up against each other in that, but that's still just like a
which
really
again, that's
stupid way
what a
of going
psychologist thinks.
Yeah, so I did, but like this was back in the time when the internet was still kind of like coming about. So I think that's why it has changed to what it is now, where it's like, oh, we're going to put the power to our users to make the choices that they want to make, which I think is the right step. But it also kind of enables what could be a toxic community, in the sense, like as I said, where it's social media and stuff like that. That kind of community of always presenting your best self has spread over now to dating apps, and now if like people aren't reaching your standards, not just in looks, but like how they are representing themselves in their lives, that we're putting people now to these newer standards again. And it's not that dating apps are causing it; they're just kind of enabling this as another place that we can create this kind of horrible atmosphere that we are doing. Because like what I get is like a lot of people complain about Grindr for like a number of reasons, and they all complain about it as Grindr, and I'm like, it's not Grindr, it's all the users in Cork and how we use Grindr.
Yeah, it's about the culture of dating and what we expect and this kind of thing.
Yeah, so like the app hasn't done anything wrong. That the app hasn't, like, it's had updates and stuff like that, but it hasn't changed much since it's like a original concept. And yet all of them are like, oh, like Grindr's just gone to hell, like it's good, and it's like, yeah, like it's just this kind of, the way that we date now has changed, and it's not that Grindr is the issue, it's that we're the issue and we're not discussing it and we're not talking about it to address it.
Do you want to have a guess about the UK average for how long people courted before agreeing to marry? So it was a survey done of everyone who was I think it was like 300 people who were engaged, and what's the average time between their first date to their engagement?
When?
6 months.
Oh, it was in the 2000s. I'm not sure what year it was, but it was recent.
Okay, cool. Because if it was like the 50s would be way different to like the 2000s. I'm going to guess 6 months to a year.
Okay.
Maybe a year and a bit.
Less, 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months of dating before you get engaged? No.
Oh?
Higher.
Down. Okay.
Higher than both of us?
Yeah.
Oh. Like 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, basically. 2 years and 11 months.
Oh.
Okay. My parents got engaged after 3 weeks, so I have that to base everything on.
Yeah, your parents be a very good guest to have on for this one.
For this one. So what was it? It was like, oh, we went to the chipper on the first week, and the second week we were, planning our wedding.
Picking out rings, yeah.
But again, we always say this when it comes up. While it is a hilarious story and a terrible idea to get engaged after 3 weeks, it worked out for Luke's parents because they're still together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone do it. Go wild.
Yeah.
So the average for dating to engagement is 2 years and 11 months, with women feeling that they're ready to accept an engagement proposal after 2 years and 7 months. Which I thought was fun, because it means like a guy is like, oh, she's ready now.
She's ready now. I have 4 months to get this sorted.
Yeah, it takes 4 months for him to realize, like, pick up on the hints.
I also think it's a really interesting thing to like know in your head that like, okay, so most women have felt like after 2 years and 7 months that they knew. So hey, if you don't know after 2 years and 7 months, start asking some questions. Maybe explore. But again, not every courting needs to lead to marriage.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, they might just not want to get married, in which case
just hang
they'll
out.
never get that feeling.
Unless they're Hinge, in which case
You need to delete that app.
don't fucking waste their time. I like the idea of Hinge being really aggressive if you don't get married. Like, I fucking dare you.
Or like, they just keep spamming you with loads of ads so that you delete it, and they're like, haha, gotcha.
Yeah.
So the word date itself in the 1820s was mostly associated with prostitution, and it was only in the 1920s, in the kind of swing time jazz vibes, that dating was actually seen as like a fun thing. And by the 30s, it was expected for young people to go on a number of dates rather than one person and then a marriage.
Good.
But the dates were also expected to be in public places because we didn't do premarital sex. That just never happened until the 60s.
Yeah, of course, never.
And
Still doesn't happen.
It still doesn't happen, really, yeah.
The gays didn't exist until, what, the 80s, when a bunch of people decided to start being gay?
There was some wall fell down in a riot, and then loads of gays came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think they came from communism. Is
Yeah,
that it?
yeah,
When
the
that wall
Russians.
came down, all the gays came into Europe.
We were just hiding behind that wall waiting for the Mexicans. Oh, good days.
And I wanted to talk about dating in Ireland. So have you heard of Listún Varna? Christy Moore has a song, and he's like, oh, Listún Varna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sure.
it's a matchmaking
Okay.
festival.
Oh, yes, okay, yeah. I've
And
heard
it
of that.
still goes on today.
Today, yeah.
Yeah, so they have something planned for 2021.
Oh,
But back in the day, there was a thing called a
Optimistic.
Bav Door, which was a matchmaker. There were almost always men, which I did not picture for historical matchmakers.
yeah.
Their payment was only a bottle of whiskey.
That's all
I
you
thought was
needed.
fun.
I'd take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their busiest time of year was the Shrove Tide, because in 1565, the Catholic
Yeah.
Church was like, lads, no one's allowed to get married during Lent. And apparently the entire country of Ireland misunderstood that, and they were like, oh, that means you have to get married before Lent.
Okay.
So now, if you come into the new year and you're with someone, you now need to like kind of rush your wedding before
Yeah.
Ash Wednesday.
Is that what happened with Luke's parents?
Did
Did
they meet
Did they
in
get
February?
married in like January, February?
No, they were engaged for a while.
Okay.
That's when they did like what everyone else did and like dated and got to know each other.
So Shrove Tuesday is this Tuesday, so the 16th of February 2021. So in, what's that, 3 days time?
Okay, so I need to find a boyfriend and get married in the next 2 days.
Pretty quick, yeah. And
do
there's
that.
there's an
Just use
entire...
Hinge.
Should use Hinge. So typically, so it would be arranged by this matchmaker guy, but a lot of people, it would be in a small town, so you typically know the person from primary school kind of a thing, so it's not a big deal. And you've got a thing called a walking out, where you and your future husband, wife get to hang out on this walk. But you'd be accompanied by your younger sibling, and the idea is that they would pick flowers. They're called daisy pickers, but realistically
Yeah.
they're just making sure that no one got a shift before the wedding day. And then the wife's
Love it.
family would do a thing called the walking of the land, where they would go to the male's house, and they'd obviously make sure that it was like good enough, but also they would engage in hospitality, so they'd have like a drink or whatever to ensure no miserly tendencies in the
Aw.
family, which I love. So if you're putting out the digestive biscuits, you might not get the daughter-in-law.
Love it.
So after that, as long as you had some good biscuits, there was a pre-wedding party, and most of these happened in February because of Shrove Tuesday.
The
the
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's even better than that is there's also a thing that happened in the south of the country, so Cork and Kerry-ish, called Skellig Night. And this would also happen on Shrove Tuesday. But this isn't as romantic, because this is for the single people. So after sunset, a load of people would go on like a parade of the town to slag off single people in the area. So they would write poems and jokes for all the bachelors and spinsters to be like, ha, freaked for you, you're still not married. And I was like, oh, why is it called Skellig Nights? It's called Skellig Nights because on the
Crystal
Skellig
Knocked
Islands...
was taken.
What?
Crystal Knocked was taken.
On the Skellig Islands, the idea was that the calendar was a bit behind, so you still had time before Ash Wednesday. So you should head off to Skelligs, try and find a wife before Ash Wednesday. So that was good.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mentioned like, oh, to slag off the local bachelors and spinsters, and I was like, how come bachelor got to like become such a cool word, and spinsters still has a bad name to it? But anyway,
yeah,
there's more. So that was on Shrove Tuesday. Then you had Chalk Sunday, which is the following Sunday. So this is the day that all the parish are heading off to mass, as you know. And if you weren't humiliated enough on Tuesday, people would bring chalk to mass, and anyone who's single would get an X marked on their back.
Jesus.
And apparently if you're a young person, it was kind of seen as like this, it's just a bit of banter. Whereas for old people, it was actually like pretty shit. It was more bullying like.
Yeah, for young people it's kind of like marking it out. It's like, oh, keep an eye out for next year's options, I suppose.
Yeah. And they used to do a thing called, they'd use rattle, which is some kind of thing that you use to mark sheep. So if you're older, you wouldn't just get chalked, you'd get rattled, and it's really hard to remove from your clothes. So it's horrible. And like, if you think that's not bad enough, along comes Monday, called Salt. It's called Salt Monday, where people would throw salt. They throw salt at you to preserve you for the next year.
That's amazing.
So that was a good bit of research. The only other kind of nod to Irish like courting procedures is the idea of hand fasting. So it's where you tie two hands together. And it used to be a thing where it was like this kind of pre-Christian marriage thing, or else it can sometimes be like a pre-marriage event, kind of like an engagement. And sometimes it gets attributed to the Celts, but there's like no way to really know.
Attributed to the what? Oh, no way to really know.
There's no way to know like what the customs of people who may or may not have lived that long ago actually were. Like, how would you know?
Yeah, there's also no way to know if the Celts lived, full stop, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's literally no way to know if a whole culture existed or not. Let's not bother with that.
We can disregard that. We'll cut that bit out because that's just ridiculous.
That's just stupid. Yeah,
you should do some more fact checking.
The rest of that was hilarious. I hope we like make a festival around this where we can like replicate it but in a fun way.
Yeah,
because that sounds super fun, bar like the fact that it was like really degrading for people.
There's also, I took down, so the Skellig thing, it isn't just like lads kind of running around being like, oh, Kate's shit because she's not married yet. They're quite creative, so like they like sing a song about it. So there's a thing called a Skellig list. So someone like a few weeks before would be like taking a list of all the single people in the area, and they'll come up with a rhyme to mock them. So I took down my favourite one that I could find.
Unreal.
Okay. So we have Christine Hanley is the next. Oh yeah. So it's in a list of people. So Christine Hanley is the next, who is sure small and pale, but oh, her courting story is a sad and mournful tale. First Dan Handon left her down, then it was Dickie Penn. Now she is sad and lonesome and finished up with men.
Jesus.
Nice.
My last thing is that when I was looking up like Irish traditions of courting kind of thing, I came across willydaily.com, who is a matchmaker from Clare. His website is an aircom.net website. It's still there. It's just one page. There are no links to anything. And all it says in Comic Sans rainbow writing is willydaily.com at aircom.net, matchmaker and horse whisperer. in County Clare.
Oh, what a great combination.
I'm sure they go
You're like
hand in
looking
hand.
for love, but you also have like that rowdy horse in the back of the area. So we need to just do our little wrap-up spiel.
Yep.
Does everyone know it? Okay. So for all of you, if you want to find us on social media,
Oh,
we
yeah.
are
that
podcast
was
OnlyCans. This stuff, yes. So that's at podcast OnlyCans on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can look up the OnlyCans podcast and find us on YouTube also. And we are on most major platforms. We don't have a specific day that we're releasing at the moment.
They know we're on specific platforms if they're listening to the podcast already. They know.
Oh yeah, we did that last week.
Yeah.
It's just so handy to say.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. David, I apologize for laughing at you last week. Or 2 weeks ago. Oh, that's the other thing. We forgot to announce at the start, but we're going to be doing weekly for C, D, and E. So that'll be this week, this release, next week, and the week after. Cool. Beyond that, I don't think there's anything else left.
Oh, you could message the Instagram page if you have a suggestion for D.
Yeah. We're constantly open for suggestions.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Don't give the obvious
Facebook.
one. We've already thought about it.
D is for democracy.
Yes, that's exactly
District
what
of
everyone's gonna say
Columbia.
straight away.
If we didn't have Leah giving us a review or anything like that, someone actually left us a review on Facebook. We do know them.
Constructive criticism.
Some constructive criticism. So I'll read it out. This is from Jared. So thanks for listening, Jared. 5 out of 5 stars. After listening to the latest podcast, B for Beauty, I was severely disappointed to find out that they did not go for B for beer. Due to the fact that the name of the podcast is OnlyCans, and the fact that they are all Irish would insinuate the topic of alcohol. I would have expected better from their own heritage, given the reputation that we Irish have for drinking, which some could say even date back to the Celts. That's up in the air, who knows. I did a bit of further research into the name OnlyCans and analysed the sound of the can opening that they use to signal the start of the podcast to be even further disgusted and lied to by these frauds. They, being Irish, using a Coke can, a non-alcoholic beverage that we Irish built such a huge honour for, would be dishonoured, I'm reading this word for word, in such a way. This isn't even the worst transgression that these Adamans have done. They have the gall to do this podcast stone cold sober. It is a disgrace and a shame to who we are as a race and a lie to the name OnlyCans and what its true meaning should be. I, for one, will listen to these next episodes, but will hope that these unforgivable transgressions shall be corrected in the near future.
In that case, I think we need to apologise for Jared for not doing C for cans, but we apologise. It is Valentine's Day. We just got swept up in the moment.
Yeah.
You can also email us at podcastonlycans@gmail.com. Why you would, I don't know, but fire away.
To correct something.
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
Yeah,
And again,
if you want to correct
any...
us, email us and we will read it out. We don't have to read your name if you don't want us to, but we might do it anyway.
We'll know.
But we'll know. And you'll get a horse's head left in your bed.
Our feelings will be hurt. Unpleasant.
So this is the part of the podcast where we listen to Just Luke. Let me check my Grindr messages and see if there's anything fun there. Scammers saying, looking for no string sex? Then go to http://gayfun.org. Don't go to that website. Some guy going, hi sexy. Oh, thank you. One person going, any fun lately? We're in lockdown. No one should be having too much fun these days. There's a person here saying, I'd love to suck you. The one below it, do you accommodate? Another one, what you wearing? That's about it. So I hope you enjoyed.